everyone, it's Michelle from Scrap Secrets and welcome to another card video. In today's video, we're going to be making this postcard style embossed birthday card for my best friend for her 40th birthday. We are going to be using the Concord and 9th Notable Numbers stamp set, and you'll notice I have a second stamp set that all the birthdays, I don't end up using that. I did decide to leave the inside blank for a personal message. So to get started, we're going to be working on the very front of this postcard style birthday card. And I laid out the stamps that will create the sentiment, cheers to 40 years, on the front of this so that we could heat emboss it. But as I put the magnets on, things move. And things actually got moved a little bit too much towards the right, and you'll see in a little bit how I fix this. But we're going to fix the stamped images, close the MISTI door, and use the Versamark ink to ink up this image so we can heat emboss it. The first thing that I'm going to do to prep the card is to run a microfiber cloth over top of it. This is a Norwex one that I had. And it's just trying to get off any static from the stamps, from my fingerprints, and things like that. I'm also going to rub over the stamps because this is the first time I've used most of them, and we're going to use Versamark ink to ink these stamps up. Now, Versamark ink, for those of you who don't know, is a clear sticky ink, and you can use it to create watermarks, which is just a slightly darker pattern or what stamped image on the cardstock. Or you can use it for heat embossing, and that's what we're going to do in this case. I only had to stamp it once because it stamped pretty well, and you can see that was what it would be like if you left it watermarked. You could leave it just like that so you could see it kind of in the reflection, or do what we're doing. So we're going to take out a scrap piece of paper, which is just an old receipt from one of the stamp companies that I bought stuff from, and we're going to use the Zing embossing powder in gold. I'm going to shake it over top of the images, and then shake off the excess when I'm done, and that's why I have the paper underneath to catch all of the stray embossing powder. And then there's a part of an image that didn't get embossed all the way, so I scooped it up, and then I realized there was embossing powder inside, so I have to make sure I get that out of there. I'm also going to take a paintbrush to brush away some of the stray embossing powder that I can see. This is not a perfect method, and you will see that there are a couple of stray embossed pieces, but that's fine because we figure out a way to cover up most of them. But I'm trying to get off as much as I could. Now you see with between the E and the R, there was a piece of something. It was probably cat hair, because those of you who craft and have animals know that cat hair gets everywhere. So it's probably in almost every project that I've ever done. So I'm just going to wipe that off, and then we're going to take the heat tool, which is the Wagner heat tool. This is the new one, and heat up the embossing powder. And I had it on level 1 and it wasn't really working, so I pushed it up to level 2. And you'll see in a second how you can notice the difference between heated powder and non-heated powder. So you can see that it's very dull until it's heated up, and then you'll know it's done. You don't want to put your heat gun over it too much because that will cause the embossing powder to burn. Off camera, I took this over to the side and I cut a little bit off, and I believe it is now a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of cardstock. And these are scraps from the background piece that we're going to glue this onto in a couple minutes. These are very tiny, very thin strips, and I thought that it would, 1, hide the embossing powder, and 2, would kind of frame off the sentiment pretty nice. This kind of reminds me of Roaring 20s type, I guess, fonts and things like that, with the colors and the style of the 40 on there. So I just thought this would look really nice. And we're going to cut those pieces off, and that hides some of the embossing powder. But then you also see that I get a little bit of glue at the top. Oh, we're going to fix that too. Don't worry about it. There's all kinds of tricks to hide things. I also put out some of the Trinity gems, as well as that pack that I love so much that I just don't know where it came from. I think it was a Hero Arts kit. I'm going to glue down the Trinity embellishments first. I will make a shaker card with these one day. Maybe by the end of one of my series, I'll have made a shaker card. But that's what these generally are for. But I've been using them as fixing boo-boos or adding some color or just adding a little something to my cards. So we're going to put 3 of them down, and you'll see that the glue kind of seeps out. That's MFT On Point Precision Glue that I'm using. You'll see that kind of seeps out of it. I will take my craft knife and kind of pick up some of that glue. You don't have to do that. Now, another thing I just wanted you guys to notice is once that glue dries underneath, you're going to see that these gems are a lot darker than, these are the exact same gems that are to the right of my hand right now. Those are the exact same ones, but you can see these are darker. They pick up whatever material is behind them, and since it's black card base, they become really, really dark. They're not that crystal that you see on the right. I also decided to go into this pack and pick out 2 of the gold glitter sequins and glue them down with the MFT On Point Precision Glue. You'll see the same thing happens to me, that I put too much glue on it, and the last one you actually see it falls and I move it, but it all turns out fine. The glue dries clear, so you're never gonna, unless you watch this video, you're never gonna know. Oh, after I do that, I'm going to get ready to glue all of my card base together. And the reason that we're going to call this a postcard card is because the background is a 5 by 6.5 piece of cardstock that's just going to act as the base of it, so like a postcard, and then we're going to put a mat on top of it, and then we're going to put this card on it. So it's like an interactive postcard. We're going to be using this reflective paper from Recollections, and then there's the black card base, and you'll see my reflection in a minute. I'm going to use my HEG gun. I don't love this cardstock. You have to make sure that there is nothing underneath. I think I had a little bit of glue or something down there, and it kind of got on the reflection piece. So you'll see it there. I'm trying to wipe some of it off, and it's terribly distorted reflection. I should have cut that part out, but gluing that down with my ATG, and then going to glue that card down right to the middle of it, and then I can open it up and write my personal message inside. Since we heat embossed on this, I'm actually going to not only go around the edges, but go around the middle. So that is the card for today. So I hope that you liked it. It was short, but I really like the way that it came out, with the exception of that piece right there. But you can see fingerprints get on there, so it's not exactly the easiest cardstock to use. You have to be a very neat crafter, which I am not. And there you go. I'm going to write my personal message inside, and that is the card. I also made my own envelope too. Here's a closer look at it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below. Hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you again real soon for another card video. Bye!